What's going on today, world? This your girl, Marky Lemons-Ryhal, real estate keynote speaker and international best-selling author. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a little shocked today because I knew that I was going to interview Zack, and I knew that Zack does driving for dollar mastery. I didn't know Zack was gonna show up doing what it is that he says that he does, because there's some of us who don't practice what we preach. But clearly, Zack is out here practicing what he preaches. What's going on today, Zack?
Just working away. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am so elated that you could be here with us in real time doing what it is that you actually do. But I know that you're doing something special right now. Can you tell my audience why we are out in the field with you and what it is that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I'm actually in Tampa, Florida. Most of the time I live in Utah. I flew in here about a week ago, but I'm day 3 of a 40-day challenge. I'm taking $1,000 and I'm turning it into 40 grand in 40 days, starting from scratch. None of my normal connections, and turning that money into big money.
So you decided that you would leave the comfort of your home in Utah. You would go down to Florida. I'm going to make some assumptions. You did some research first. You packed up all your stuff and you're letting people know that you can do what it is that you do anywhere with no connections.
Exactly. And I picked Florida not because it's like a better market, because it's sunny in the winter compared to Utah, right? That was my criteria. I want somewhere warmer. So it can be done anywhere.
So tell me, what is driving for dollars mastery?
Yes. So one of the main struggles that most people have is how do we find more off-market deals? Like, how can we find rentals that make sense? How do we find flips that make sense? And that was a struggle I had for years. And when I figured out the marketing system, which I call driving for dollars mastery, I went from barely scraping by to just shy of $500,000 in 1 year. And the year after that, we did $1.2 million. So it's my marketing system. It's how I find deals. And all of that revenue was, I didn't have to flip houses. I didn't have to risk debt. I didn't have to swing a hammer. That is 100% finding off-market deals and passing them on to flippers to let them do the work.
So you and I had a little conversation at first about the fact that right now inventory is an issue. Every last one of my agents, and we have 250 agents across 2 offices here in the city of Chicago, but I train realtors exclusively across the country. Every marketplace, they're complaining about a lack of inventory. And I know that you have the driving for dollars and you decided to leave Utah and go to Florida. Great selection during the winter months. But how do you, because in your program you show people, but can you give us a little strategy on how you are finding motivated sellers when people act like they don't exist?
Yeah, exactly. So when someone has a property that they're motivated to sell, it's because that property is a thorn in their side, right? And if a property is a thorn in someone's side, are they going to go, pick the weeds out of the flower bed? Are they going to want to cut the grass? Some shingles are going to blow off. They're going to throw a tarp on the roof. There's going to be physical signs of neglect, right? Because the house is a burden. And people are like, oh, that doesn't exist. And it's like, no, it exists. It totally exists. My first day of this challenge, I added over 600 properties to my marketing list in six hours. Okay. And so all you do is you drive around and look for physical signs of neglect, right? We use an app called Deal Machine. If you want to get that app, make sure you use my discount code. It is PIN, PIN. So we use that app. We drive around. We use the tap to add version. So it's basically Google Maps image, right? And it's showing where you're at on the route. And then you see the house you want. And the little dot has the house number for you to make it really easy to see. And you just tap that house and it adds the owner's information, the mailing address, the owner's name, everything into an Excel spreadsheet. Beautiful for you, ready to market to.
Oh, wait. Okay. Is that dealmachine.com?
Dealmachine.com. It's an app on the App Store, Android, Apple. It's a game changer. When I started this business, I was driving through neighborhoods, writing down these addresses of rundown houses. It was taking hundreds of hours to build a list of any size. I can add over 100 properties every single hour of driving.
Okay. So you just one little app, you just blew my mind. Okay. So but here, wait, I just gotta pump the brakes for a second. Everything you just said made sense. And it made so much sense, it makes me feel stupid, right? So I just need to get in my car and drive around and look for neglect, because that is a clear sign that that property has become a thorn in that person's side, because they won't even walk out the door, pick up the paper, clean the lawn, throw a little paint on the house. So to me, that was like, oh my God, you get in your car every freaking day, I would think, to do something, even during Corona, right? We still go to the grocery store. We still go get gas, right? So take a different route every time you leave the house to see what houses show signs of neglect. Okay. And
my big thing with that is like, yeah, you can take a different route, but if you really want to be successful, you go, okay, I'm going to find 2 hours this week and go drive. I'm going to add 200 properties to a list. And that list is gold. It's better than a list of 2,000 tax delinquents or something else, right? Like, look at this house. If y'all can see this house behind me. Can you see that?
Yes.
So this house right here, I was literally driving for dollars to the hour of this podcast, right? With my film guy here for this challenge. And I saw this house and there was a gentleman outside, and I was like, I'm going to talk to him now instead of just tag the property. It's currently getting flipped. I barely missed out on this deal, right? But I made connections with the contractor, which is awesome if I want to start flipping houses down here, because I will build a team down here now. Since I'm starting, I might as well. And I got connected with the wholesaler that did this deal. And, this house, I was just a few days late, but this could have been a $20,000, $30,000 deal, right? And I'm just a few days late, but and I've only been driving for an hour today, and I can tell you exactly how many addresses I've added. I'm driving in a little nicer area today to test that, since I don't know this market very well. And I've added 59 houses in 1 hour. Well, probably less. It's probably like 50 minutes of driving. I've added 59 houses to my list.
Okay. So get out, drive, go to dealmachine.com. It's an app. We could use your code, which is PIN, PIN, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's going to give you the route tracking software free for 2 months. So if you hit the map, right, and then there'll be a section in there that you can say track route or start drive, it's going to highlight the street that you've been on. And then depending on how long ago you drove it, it'll be color coordinated. So if you want to redrive 6 months later, you can be like, this route's yellow. Let's redrive it.
So here's what's going on. So my son, my oldest son, he's 24, college graduate. He's a consultant at Accenture. They have a special program here in the state of Illinois where you need a property move-in condition to qualify, but they will erase up to $40,000 in student loan debt if you keep the property for 3 years. Yep. Well, he's having a problem finding that property to move into. So now I'm thinking, not only can I use this special finance program, but I should get out here in my car and start driving for dollars. Like, okay, so I got the deal machine, use the PIN, use the route tracking software. It's free for up to 2 months, even though it looked like it's going to pay for itself. So I would want to get the paid version.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a whole mouthful and you got me real excited. Now, we know that these buyers out here are crazy, right? And we're dealing with realtors. You just told them secret sauce, how to find motivated sellers. Some of it was real common sense, but common sense ain't all that common. So now they understand about driving for dollars.
Yeah.
You talk about negotiate to close, right?
Yes.
What does that look like? Because I still have buyers in a seller's market wanting to lowball on offers. What does that look like in the driving for dollar mastery system?
Yep. So most people think that you have to be like a really good negotiator to get properties 50 cents on the dollar, but that's not true at all, right? Like that's hogwash, right? There's all these movies and shows talking about always be closing and, that you can convince your way into good deals. And it's like, to me, I think that's dishonest. That's shady. That's crap, dude. Like, we shouldn't be taking advantage of our brothers and sisters to make a dollar. That is not what we should be doing. So my thing with driving for dollars is we're trying to find certain people that want to pawn shop for their house. They know that they're giving away at a discount. They don't want to deal with it. They're tired landlords. They inherited a property and are dealing with shitty siblings, right? They're, you know what I mean? Like, that happens. They're just burnt out. They don't want the property. It's a burden. Or they just don't want to work with an agent sometimes, right? They just want to sell it to an investor or be done. And if you're an investor / agent, even better. Maybe they'll decide they want to list it with an agent, because I always ask that. Why don't you just list it with an agent? You might get more. And if their answer is, yeah, I kind of think I want to. If you're an agent, be like, great, I'll come over and give you some free comps and let's see what we can do to help you. If you're not an agent like me, I say, okay, never mind. You know, I'm not a fit. But if they say, I don't want to work with an agent, I want this done now, right? Then I go and meet with them. Once I meet with them, then I figure out what they're trying to do and what they want for it. I try and show them the reality of the situation that they're in. I say, listen, you can fix it up and list it and make more, you know, or you could take my offer. Like, what do you want to do? Well, I don't want to list it. It's like, well, you're high in the sky on what I can pay. I need to make a profit, right? And they're like, yeah, we understand. It's like, okay, well, if I agree to you at this number, even though it's more than I want to pay, are you saying you would accept that right now? If they give me an objection, I solve their objection. Once I figure out a way to solve their objection, I say it again. So if we do it that way and solve your objection by doing X, Y, Z, are you saying you would sign right now? And as soon as they say yes, I say, okay, let me grab the papers. And we sign the agreement and we're done, right? And so it's not that complicated. You had asked, so, okay, how do we find the leads? Well, driving for dollars is the first step. It's a 2-part process, right? You drive around and find these rundown properties. Step 2 is you got to reach out and see if they want to sell. Step 2, you got to see if they are interested in listing with an agent or selling it to an investor. And so I do 3 different things that I like. My favorite is postcards. We send a simple postcard that says, hey, I want to buy your house at XYZ. Right. My second favorite is cold calling. I use a triple line dialer. I called for about 2 hours yesterday. I've got an appointment. The number we set over the phone, according to the comps, I should make a $9,000 assignment fee, just assigning the contract. That's day 2 of the competition. Okay. Or the challenge. So I'm going to meet with them on Monday and I'm hoping to get that contract already. But cold calling's huge. My third is texting. So we do texting as well. You got to be careful with that, especially agents, because if you're texting people, legally you're not supposed to text market. But I'm not texting when I'm asking, or marketing when I'm asking to buy their house, right? So
I used to be the queen of foreclosures, and I have the accredited distressed property representative designation. It's a 12-hour class. We're kind of dusting that course off to bring it back to the market with the assumption that we're going to see an increase in notice of default filings later in 2021, early 2022. Mm-hmm. Everything you just said goes back to the marketing of that program, because when I was doing that program, I was actually a flipper as well. So I was buying houses for cash. So I would always tell them, look, I want to come in and I want to do a notice of no agency, because my number one goal is to buy your house, rehab it, and put it back on the market. But if you don't like my offer, then by all means, I would like to help you sell the house. But I had to do a notice of no agency coming in the door, because my number one objective was not to represent them as an agent. It was to buy their house for cash. Yep. But baby, you just added a whole new sauce to that whole marketing part of that program.
There was a book, like the big shift. So I used to be a window washer for a decade. I went from window washer to millionaire real estate investor, right? And I was listening to podcasts and reading books while I was just washing windows, right? You would have just seen me as just this window washer. You actually can look up, like, if you search window washing on YouTube, I'll probably be one of the top 5 videos. I've got a tutorial video of me, like 10 million views. Like, I washed a lot of windows in my life. And I was burnt out. I was sick of it. And I wanted to get into real estate, but I just kept having all these barriers. And I kept reading books and listening to podcasts and trying to figure out how the heck to get into it, because I kept hitting all these obstacles. Like, I didn't have the debt to income. I didn't qualify for loans. I didn't have down payments. Like, I had all these issues. And I was reading a book called Multifamily Millions. And in there, it talks about, giant syndication deals, just multi-million-dollar deals. And he says that real estate investing is marketing and our product is real estate. If you can't get that between your two ears, you will not be in business for long. And so I don't care if you want to wholesale, if you want to flip houses, if you want to list houses, if you want to do anything around real estate, you have to have a marketing system. You have to produce leads. If you don't produce leads, you don't go negotiate contracts. You don't negotiate contracts. You don't get contracts. You don't make money. So you have to have a marketing system. And I promise you, this is the best marketing system for finding off-market discounted properties that exists by far. Like, I have found absolutely nothing else. I'm spending about 13 cents to make $1 with this marketing channel. There's nothing else out there like that. 13
cents, that is very low. I mean, because you know that, right? You know that is extremely low. Those returns are phenomenal. Okay. So I love the negotiate, the close, the honesty and the tactic, the fact that you talked about things a lot of agents don't like to do. One is direct mail through the postcards, the cold calling. Now you said something about a triple something on the cold call. Could you say that again?
Yeah, you can use any cold calling platform you want. I use mojosales.com. It's just because I'm a believer in, you want to learn something, you find the best and have them teach you. Pay them whatever it is, right? And I paid $4,000 to learn how to cold call. And the guy that taught me said, get mojosales.com. He showed me how to set up a triple line dialer. So I'm calling through 3 different people at one time. If I have multiple phone numbers, it goes call hammer and it's calling through all the numbers. And if I'm on the phone and someone else answers, there's a recording, goes, hello, I'm going to have to call you back. And it hangs up on them. As soon as I get off the phone, it starts dialing them back. So I'm just like blowing through hundreds of phone numbers, right? And when I first learned about this, I got my list and I started cold calling it. 11 minutes in, the second person I talked to answered the phone. Her name was Linda. She's like, oh, thank goodness you want to buy my house. The tenants kicked in the skylights, the sheetrock's falling down in the kitchen. 11 minutes in, I went to her house. I signed the contract. I found a buyer and I made $9,000 selling the contract. 11 minutes into the dialer, right? And I fully expect to make 40 grand in the next 40 days, just jumping on the dialer about 3-4 hours a day.
Wow. And that's a lot of earnings per hour. I ain't broke it down yet, but that's a lot of earnings per hour.
It's a lot of money.
Yes.
It is a lot.
Okay. I get that. Now, you talk a lot also about automation. So you've shared with us the deal machine and the route tracker, and then this Mojo Sales and the triple dial. Is there other automation that you're using in the process?
100%. I love to travel. I love to play. My wife's from Brazil. We spent a month in Brazil last winter or 2 winters ago. And, I'm doing this 40-day challenge and I go to Alaska every year and I'm a major outdoorsman. I love to disappear into the mountains and lose cell phone service. Right. And for that to happen, I want money to keep coming in. I want to get paid when I sleep. I want to get paid when I'm on vacation. And so I've been able to build a team around this. Right. Having those systems in place and knowing what you're doing. That's one of the greatest things about what I teach is it can be automated. It can be systemized. Right. I think between this week and next week, I have 2 acquisition managers. We should generate over $150,000 in revenue and just contracts we'll get in this week and next week. Right. We got 2 yesterday. I haven't gone on an appointment myself in over 1.5 years. Right. I run my team. And it's really fun to be out here having to do it again, right? Brush off the dust a little bit and get to work. But it's like riding a bike, right? You might be a little rusty if you haven't done it for a minute, but it's, my suggestion is be hungry, go for it and start yourself. But you can teach other people to implement these same action steps, right? And one of the big things that I teach my students is exactly how to do each of the steps and get them started, but also how to hire people, how to make sure they're a fit as far as their core values, right? As long as their personalities fit, that they'll take that position wherever their personalities fit. But first you check their core values, right? But I have up to 13 employees at this point, and I have my coaching business and I have my wholesaling business. And none of that could be possible without an automation process to be able to have this all systemized.
I love it. I love everything you just said because one, it is filling a true void right now. I mean, whether you were going to wholesale or not, people still need to discover from a real estate agent standpoint these listings. They need them and they need them like yesterday because we have too many buyers just sitting on the fence or on the sideline that if we want to be or continue to show our value, we need to be driving for dollars as well, just to ensure that we maintain our lifestyles, right? Or our livelihood. How does one go about connecting with you and finding about this $1,000 per day that you're going to make or learning these systems in detail?
Before I jump into that, I want to approach something that you said just before this. Is that okay?
Yes. Go right ahead.
When you said agents should be out hustling like this and driving for dollars, 100%, especially if you want to get into investing, right? And find those off-market deals. Or if you want to find off-market deals for clients of yours, that's fine. But I've noticed that there is a lot of real estate agents that feel like real estate wholesalers are taking money out of their pockets and they feel like they're competition. What they don't understand is most wholesalers will see listings and go, oh, no, thank you. It's not worth my time. I want a wholesale. I want off-market investment opportunities. So if you're not networking with your wholesalers and getting their retail leads, you're absolutely losing out. Losing out. I pass so many leads to my agent. Like, you guys should be networking, not competing, right? Collaboration, not competition. Like, I get so sick and tired of real estate agents dogging on wholesalers. It's like, you guys are shitting on money right now. Like why are you not being that dude's friend? You deserve to buy him lunch. Like, go do that.
Love it. You know why? Because there is a competitiveness between the wholesaler per se and the realtor. But here's the thing: you're doing things a realtor won't do. Let me be clear. The commitment to finding that deal that fits your needs is unparalleled, right? And as you just pointed out, they're not going to all fit your needs. So that means that realtor should befriend as many wholesalers as possible, because the wholesaler, you're passing on deals every single day because they don't fit your need. And that person who wants that maximum dollar because it's not going to equal the return that you're desiring, right? You need to, hey, I got a realtor friend who would love to get you that top dollar in his as-is condition. That's not going to suit me. So I'm glad that you brought that up so that they will. Now, here's going to be the problem. Now they're going to all jump up and want to be your friend, right? But it's okay. You're the good friend to have. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to tell you this. The fact that you showed up today in your car with a film crew, it is number one, tops for me, right? Like, I am loving the fact that we are physically out in the field in Florida in front of a house that one was publicly admitted, you know what? I was a few days late on this one, but somebody's going to make money on it. So I 100% appreciate that. Now, how can they get into driving for dollar mastery?
Yeah. So the best way is just go to my website, everyone. My website is dfdmastery.com. There's a link for my social medias. So I have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're starting a podcast. There's going to be everything you need to follow me is going to be there. And all my free content, just great stuff there. My goal is to add as much value as possible. Also, if you want to, apply to become a student, I don't take everyone. I have some very strict requirements to become a student, because if I take a student, my goal is to make you successful. I take it as far as every student has a picture that gets printed out and put on my main office wall, because I want to be reminded of who I'm accountable to help and help you get your first wholesale deal. And so if you go on my wall, I want you to be like serious, right? So you have to fill out an application, you book a call, and I have onboarding coaches to make sure you're a fit. So on my website, there's apply now. So you can apply if you are interested. And some people are like, okay, well, if you're making all this money wholesaling, like, why would you coach? And that's a very good question, because it's a major distraction. I'd make way more money actually if I just wholesaled. So I want to tell you really quick why. Okay. So you guys understand. When I did $500,000, I was shocked, right? That year I did $500,000. I was a window washer. That was more money than I had ever even imagined, right? I grew up without a lot of money. I grew up with a work ethic and a dad that made me work. But, I was mowing lawns after school with my dad, right? Like, we did not have money, not compared to what I do now. And so when I did that $500,000, I was like, wow, if I did this, maybe I could do $1 million next year, right? And I set this crazy goal that I did not think I could do, but I wanted it. And I did a self-help journal. So I was just starting to reach out to anything I could do to like learn how to get to that next level. And there was a self-help journal I did called Living Your Best Year Ever. That first 100 pages, it talks about creating 3 big goals. One of my big goals was $1 million in revenue the next year. I had no idea how to do it. And, but it told me whatever I wanted to receive, I had to give away. So I had to give away $1 million, people. I didn't have $1 million. And I wanted to take it serious and talk to my wife. I was like, what do we do? How do we do this? Like, how do we do this? Like, truly, like, can we really do this? And we were thinking, like, who do we give it to? Like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, well, why don't I just teach my marketing system? Why don't I just teach people what I'm doing, how I negotiate, how I market, how I find buyers for these deals? Like, why don't I just teach that? So I got a handful of people. I got 10 people, and I said, hey, you have to pay me because I only want people that are going to really do this, right? I want some skin in the game, and I'm going to teach you what I'm doing. And my students immediately started crushing it. One of my first students, Scott Dallinger, you can see his success story on the YouTube channel, all the success stories actually. But Scott, his first deal was $113,000 profit. Quit his corporate job, walked away from it. He's full-time now. He's in Portland, Oregon. Just had his first little baby boy. Just a beautiful little family, right? And like, making money has been great. My first wholesale deal was life-changing. 10 grand as proof of concept. I can do this. But seeing my students do their first deal is the most fulfilling thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I feel like I'm making a difference. I'm changing lives. I'm changing generations, right? I'm making a massive impact. And to me, it's like, how good is money unless we're proud of what we're doing with it? And so a lot of my time, resources goes into things like this, right? Into challenge like the 40 grand in 40 days. And so that's why I coach, right? And the coolest thing ever was the more I taught, the more I learned. And I hit $1.2 million that year. So it was a little cherry on top, right? But I truly coach because I want to help people. And that's why I coach. I just want that to be clear because I know there's a lot of skepticism. I used to be there. Now I have coaches for absolutely everything. I spend a fortune on coaching. But yeah, I want that to be clear.
So we have one question from our group, and they said, how do we overcome the do not call and auto robo dialers?
Well, you're going to get a lot of FUs. You're going to get a lot of go pound sands. I hope you die like a pig in hell. You're going to get a lot of that, right? We do skip trace against the litigation list. If a phone number's filed litigation against cold calling, I just don't want to have to deal with that. But we just call. I want you to talk to a real estate attorney and to your broker if you're an agent about the legalities of how you're marketing, right? If you want to approach this on your own. But you got to have thick skin. There's a silly book called Rhinoceros Success, and it talks about not being a cow and being a rhino, right? and a rhino has thick skin. A rhino charges. A rhino, doesn't have fear. And that's kind of the whole synopsis of the book. But it's so key, right? It's so important that we make progress, that we move forward, even if we feel stupid or we're going to fail. Like, I could have come down to Florida, taken my film crew, did the 40-day challenge, filmed it all, made the videos and all the content beautiful and perfect. And if I failed, I didn't put it out there. But no, I said, hey, I'm going to do 40K in 40 days. Follow me. I jumped on as many podcasts as I could. I hired a company to get me on as many podcasts, right? I put it out on social media, and I'm doing semi-live updates because I want to people to see the raw failure and the raw frustration and the exhaustion and the reality of what it takes to be successful, because I don't get to just 100% do this challenge. I've got podcasts. I've got a coaching that I've got to coach my students and questions for my students. And I've got a wholesaling business, and I have 2 young kids, and I have everything that everyone else has in their lives, which is a lot of work, right? But I'm still working crazy hours to make this a reality. And I wanted to show people that that's what it takes. It takes weekends. It takes evenings. If you want to build a life that you're proud of, you have to work on that life, right? If you want some free time, earn it. Okay? There's so many people say, "Oh, I've been working so hard, I deserve it," but they don't have a dime in their account. They haven't earned jack crap, right? They're just feeling sorry for themselves. And so, if you guys want to be successful, go for it.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Zack, I appreciate your time, your energy. You surely came, you delivered some clear takeaways that they can come and they can implement in order to change their businesses. And I'm glad that you took the time to explain the value of a wholesale realtor relationship to the benefit of the realtor. So I want to thank you for being here today. 6 and 12, which is our private membership group, I'm sure that they appreciate it, as they will. Some of them are definitely going to implement what it is that you have said today.